Are you ready to face the harsh reality that is shaking the K-pop world? Jimin's shocking actions leave the army devastated, and Jungkook finally speaks up. Discover the emotional story behind the events that thrilled BTS fans in a South Korean entertainment world full of highlights and high expectations. Every move and decision of K-pop idols is always in the public eye. BTS, as one of the biggest K-pop groups in the world, did not escape this spotlight. Recently, Jimin's shocking actions have left ARMY, as BTS fans are called, devastated. However, behind the scenes, Jungkook finally spoke up, providing a different perspective and calming the hearts of the fans. The controversy began when Jimin and Jungkook asked the army not to come to the military training center when they started their conscription. Jungkook made the request directly through fanbase Factab seen as Instagram, hoping that fans would respect their privacy and that of other participants' families. RM, another member of BTS, added that the army's presence at the training site could interfere with the comfort of other participants' families. This request is also reinforced by an official statement from their agency, Bigot Music. However, Jimin's most shocking act came when he attended a Tiffany & Co. event in New York on April 27, 2023. At that time, Jimin, who became Tiffany & Co.'s global ambassador, came to be greeted by the army crowd. Unfortunately, when all the artists who arrived at the location always waved and greeted the fans, not with Jimin. As soon as his car arrived, he was immediately led into the building without even having time to turn his head to the army. This made many fans feel disappointed and consider Jimin arrogant. However, Jimin finally clarified that the incident was not because of arrogance, but because of security reasons and event protocol. In the midst of this controversy, Jungkook finally spoke up. In an interview, he called Jimin the most emotional member of BTS on stage. According to him, Jimin has the ability to show his emotions to the maximum when on stage, making their performance even more touching. In addition, Jungkook also revealed the story of his quarrel with Jimin during his trainee days. In a live broadcast on Weverse, Jungkook told that they had a big fight until Jungkook ran away from the dorm and got lost in the rain. However, he eventually returned and apologized to Jimin while crying. This story shows how strong the bonds of brotherhood between them were, despite the conflicts. Another controversy involving Jimin and Jungkook occurred while they were in New York. After that, they intend to spend a relaxing time in a cruise boat. However, a clip leaked of Jimin and Jungkook moments before the cruise. As if not enough privacy had been violated, the captain also made xenophobic comments against them. The captain shared the video via Instagram story, which later sparked fan outrage and a boycott of the yacht company. On the other hand, Jimin has also revealed that he quit social media because he felt fat. This shows how much pressure is felt by K-pop idols to always look perfect in the public eye. However, the army's reaction was completely unexpected. They thought Jimin should appear after fattening because he really wanted to see the idol's chubby cheeks. In addition, Jimin has also responded to the controversy over V's post, which drew criticism. In an upload on Weverse, Jimin conveyed how he was more careful in every upload on social media because of his status as a soldier who was undergoing military service. Jimin's message was immediately attributed by fans to the actions of V, who was considered insensitive to such a sensitive issue. In a world full of pressure and high expectations, K-pop idols like Jimin and Jungkook must face various challenges and controversies. However, through openness and communication with fans, they were able to maintain a strong relationship with ARMY. These stories show that behind the glitter of the entertainment world, there are people with real feelings and struggles. Amid the tight spotlight of the fans, the events that happened to Jimin and Jungkook only further complicated their relationship with ARMY. In these tense moments, the K-pop entertainment world seems to be shaken by statements that arouse many parties, especially the ARMY, who began to question the commitment of their idols. With all the love they've shown over the years, is it time for the ARMY to question Jimin and Jungkook's loyalty and concern for them? Jimin's act, so full of surprises, was not the first thing that shook the fans. Many said that the incident was not just an ordinary problem, but rather a behind-the-scenes turmoil that reflected internal tensions within the BTS group itself. Not only a small problem, Jimin seemed to deliberately create distance, both with ARMY and his colleagues, considering how he looked reluctant to greet fans at the Tiffany & Co. event. Is this an indirect statement of how she feels trapped in the image imposed by the industry? Or is there something deeper he is trying to hide? Then came the reaction from Jungkook, who seemed to be trying to calm the atmosphere. However, despite his good intentions, many doubted whether the efforts were enough to appease the thousands of fans who felt disappointed. Jungkook did say that Jimin is the most emotional member of BTS, but does this explain enough the reason behind his seemingly indifferent attitude to fans at the event? Are Jungkook's sweet words just an attempt to cover up the real impasse in their group? This moment became even more contentious when video leaks about Jimin and Jungkook's closeness, which had been closed from the public, began circulating, as if implying more secrets that have not yet been revealed. When Jungkook said that they had a big fight until Jungkook ran away from the dorm, fans began to question more deeply about their increasingly strained personal relationship. How is it that relationships between members of a seemingly solid group are suddenly so vulnerable? Is there a hidden rivalry or even jealousy that has not been revealed so far? This story attracted more attention when the public learned that Jimin had quit social media because he felt insecure about his appearance. Is this self-distrust only related to physical appearance, or is there a deeper psychological pressure from the K-pop industry that continues to require idols to maintain their perfect image? In the end, does this pressure lead to unpredictable actions, as we have seen recently? However, beyond the debate about Jimin's actions, there were also comments from other parties that were no less surprising. V, for example, recently caused a fan uproar with an upload that was insensitive to certain issues. Fans immediately attributed the post to Jimin's depressed mental and emotional state. This leads to a bigger question: how much influence does the outside world have on the mental well-being of the BTS members? Will they be able to be completely free from the pressures that surround them? With all these events, the ARMY begins to wonder if they really know who Jimin and Jungkook are behind the glittering world of entertainment. This tension opens up a larger conversation about the influence the K-pop industry has on the personal lives of idols, and whether they really have the freedom to be themselves. The story will continue, and it will be interesting to see how Jimin and Jungkook deal with it. Will they be able to re-establish relations with the ARMY and prove that all this is just part of their personal struggle? Or will this be a turning point that changes the way fans see BTS forever? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the world of entertainment, especially K-pop, will never be the same again after all this. The furor that has just taken ARMY by storm did not stop only at Jimin's shocking incident at the Tiffany & Co. event. Seemingly simple actions turn out to store a much greater impact than one could imagine. When Jimin chose not to greet the ARMY present at the event, his reaction was swift. Not only did it shock fans, but it also raised a big question: is this a sign of the growing tension between him and the fans? Or is there a deeper, more personal reason he can't share with the public? On the other hand, Jungkook, who is usually known for his calm demeanor, can no longer remain silent. He spoke up, gave clarifications, and even tried to calm the disappointed fans. However, can fans really be appeased with just a few words of conditioning? Or, Jungkook's presence in this situation shows a difference in vision in BTS that has been tightly hidden? When Jungkook said that Jimin is the most emotional member of BTS, the question that arises is, has this emotion started to disturb the harmony among the members of the group? In addition, the story about their quarrel, which happened while still trainees, opens up a new chapter in their relationship even more. Jimin's seemingly indifferent and infrequent act of greeting fans is associated with deeper feelings, perhaps related to past events that have not yet been fully revealed. Jungkook, who once ran away from his dorm and got lost in the rain, returns to apologize, adding another layer of complexity to their relationship. It seems that what goes on behind the scenes of BTS is much more complicated than we know. Will these petty squabbles continue to undermine their strength and unity as a group? No less surprising was the public reaction to Jimin's decision to disappear from social media. Fans who initially thought that he was leaving because of a trivial matter now began to think deeper. Does the pressure to always look perfect make Jimin feel like he has lost his identity? Or is there an even greater pressure, coming from within himself, to meet the overestimated expectations of the public? How much does the world of K-pop affect the mental health of their idols? If Jimin, who has an open personality, can fall, what about other idols who may not be ready to face this harsh reality? Controversy has also arisen over how fans have begun to question V's stance, which recently sparked debate with his insensitive posts. Jimin's response to the post further clarified the existing tensions in BTS. Some said that Jimin was just trying to avoid trouble, while others felt that he should have been more courageous in the face of the situation. Is Jimin too relent in the face of problems? Or is V really less sensitive to the important issues facing the world today? However, a bigger question comes to every fan's mind. Is this a sign that BTS isn't as strong as they've been performing all along? The internal tensions that arise between BTS members add a deeper layer to the dynamics of their relationship. The fans who used to only see their togetherness on stage now began to question how far their solidity really. Do they only look perfect in front of the camera, but there is actually an increasingly gaping gulf between them? With all that has happened, ARMY is faced with the harsh reality that perhaps their idols do not always fit into the perfect picture that they have been building. Behind visible happiness and success, there are feelings, doubts, and inner battles invisible to many. Is it time for fans to accept the fact that even the biggest stars can get lost in the darkness of the entertainment world? This story, which seems to continue full of mysteries and surprises, reminds us all of how complicated the world of entertainment is and how the struggle of idols is often invisible to the public. No one knows how this relationship will continue, but one thing is certain: every step they take is now a matter of debate. Will BTS reunite as before, or will this be the end of their journey together? Time will tell, but in the meantime, fans need to be prepared for the reality that lies ahead. This increasingly heated debate shows that the world of K-pop is much more complicated than we ever imagined. Jimin's actions to ARMY's dismay, as well as Jungkook's statements trying to defuse the situation, have opened the veil of previously undisclosed tensions within BTS. Beyond the spotlight of the stage and the cheers of fans, could there possibly be a widening rift between them? Of course, fans are starting to ask, do they really know BTS the way they think they do? As it were, there was nothing more surprising than the fact that Jimin, who had always been known as a warm-hearted member, could now make such a surprising and controversial decision. Is Jimin's action a form of hidden resistance to the pressure that has bound him in a perfect public image? Or, perhaps, this is a reflection of long pent-up unrest, which finally burst out after years of struggle in the stressful entertainment industry. Meanwhile, Jungkook tries to calm the situation with memorable and understanding words. However, his presence in the midst of this commotion actually raises more questions than answers. Many felt that Jungkook's move was too late, and his words only made things worse. Does Jungkook really understand the depth of the issue, or is he just trying to maintain the image they've built? Jungkook's reaction to this situation invites speculation that he may be caught in a dilemma between keeping the peace and facing a more bitter reality behind the scenes. The moment came under increasing scrutiny after fans discovered more clues regarding the more complex relationships within the BTS group. The scattered videos show a closeness between Jimin and Jungkook that has never been revealed. In the video, the two are seen talking in a tense tone, something that does not fit with the image of friendship that they have always displayed. Is there a greater tension that they have been hiding from fans all this time? Since when did their relationship begin to be affected by deeper personal feelings than just the friendship between groupmates? On several occasions, Jungkook even mentioned that there were times where they found it difficult to continue together as a group. The tension between the BTS members turned out to be more complicated than expected. Is this the end of the friendship they have been keeping so sincerely? Or maybe this is a transitional phase in their lives, where they have to face the fact that being a K-pop superstar doesn't always bring them the happiness they hoped for. Many fans are beginning to doubt whether BTS will return to what they once were, a group of one heart and mutual support, or they will be divided by conflicts they can no longer avoid. Then there are the surprising facts about Jimin's mentality that began to be depressed with all the high expectations placed on him. Jimin's decision to quit social media and avoid further publication illustrates just how much pressure he feels. However, there are not a few who feel that the action actually gives clues about how strong the attachment between the public image and the personal life of the idols is. In a world that glorifies perfection, is it possible that Jimin just wants to reveal that he is also a human being with all his own weaknesses and struggles? When we talk about V, his decision to express his thoughts through social media, which then generated controversy, further added to the already existing tension. Many argue that V, with all his often seemingly cheerful fun, actually has a darker, suspense-filled side. Are his statements merely a mirror of the frustration that has been pent up? If this is so, then we must ask, is V, with all his excitement, actually feeling enormous pressure, which could even affect their interaction in the group? However, despite this growing speculation, one thing is certain. The tension inside BTS is much greater than we ever imagined. Will they be able to get out of this uncertain situation? Or will we see a big change in their journey as a group? The entertainment world that used to be full of happiness is now a place full of conflicts and internal battles that have not yet been fully revealed. From the outside, we see them as superstars, as idols who always look perfect. But in reality, they may be more fragile than we think. Every action, every word spoken by them is now the subject of speculation. The world that was once full of cheers now leaves a space full of unanswered questions. How will their journey continue? Will BTS reunite, or will they find